We'll go ahead and get started with our Verizon IndyCar Series media availability, joined now by representatives from Dreyer & Reinbold Racing, including Sage Karam, driver of the number 24 DRR Mecum Auctions Chevrolet for Dreyer & Reinbold Racing. Also team owner Dennis Reinbold joining us here in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Media Center. Sage, first of all, obviously the conditions out there are quite tricky. Are you guys hoping to go out today, or are you looking forward to tomorrow already?
I think we've pretty much rode off today. I think this is going to be the windiest we'll see out of the whole month. So you're not really going to learn anything. The only thing you're doing is risking the equipment. But we'll probably go out just to do some pit stop practice. So just kind of use the warm-up lanes, come around just to get the guys ready to go. So we will make something of the day, that's for sure. But I don't think we'll be doing, full-on running today.
At such a young age, you have a good bit of experience here at the Speedway, and you've shown incredible speed over the past several attempts. What are your main goals coming into this 500? Obviously, winning, I'm sure, is top of that list, but improving upon your experiences that you've had in the past.
So I obviously I've, went through a couple rough times here at the Speedway, learned from them all. I think this year I've come in with a better attitude and a better mental approach to the race. We've been going conservative the last 2 days and taking our time to get to where we want to be, and it seems to be working. Yesterday we had a really good day. I'm just super excited to get going. I think I'm just going to be a bit more calm behind the wheel, and I know I'm going to have a good race car, and we're just going to go from there. I think my biggest goal this year is to get to the end. If I can get to the end, I know I'll be in decent shape. So that's just my main goal, get there and hopefully be within the top 5, going for a win.
Dennis, I'll ask you the same question. I know that this experience means a lot to you and your family with the tradition of running a car in the Indianapolis 500. Looking forward to next weekend, to the big race. Your goals and your just appreciation to be back here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, it's always great to get back here, and it's such a special place that and I would echo everything Sage said. We're exactly aligned in what our goals are here, and we're here to win. That's why we show up. So our first thing is to get a solid race car for him, and then we wanted to start trimming out today to start working on qualifying, but it's not the right time to do that. So as soon as possible, when we get real track time again, we will start doing that to prepare for qualifying and see what we can do. We'd like to start a little further up than we have the last few years to make his job a little easier. So that's our goal, really.
And how does the team approach that, obviously with limited track time and qualifying coming up in a couple of days, if that is a #1 goal? How does the team gather that information and data to help Sage qualify towards the front for next weekend's race?
Well, I think that basically we've got a pretty good platform. We're pretty happy, as Sage said, with our race car right now. So we can work on it a little bit more than maybe we could have in years past. So that's really the plan. It's not much of a plan. It's just a matter of getting out and working more on it than we have in the past.
Questions for Sage and Dennis? Yes.
Sage, how do you sharpen your skills after a long layoff from the car? Do you use a simulator, or do you watch tapes of your old races here?
It's a good question. Basically, last year was my only race I did was here, and my time before that was the last Indy 500. So I was coming in to last year's race just really anxious and really amped up because I haven't been in the car for a long time. But at least this year, I've been driving for Lexus and doing that GTD program. And I think that's been keeping me sharp behind the wheel, keeping me calm. But no, I mean, there's really nothing you can, truly do. I do a lot of go-karting. I drive sports cars and stuff, but there's nothing I can really do as far as keeping me sharp for Indy. It's more, I do some simulating work and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you just got to get here and do laps, and that's what we did. It took me like 15 laps, 10, 15 laps. I'm sure Dennis saw it on data, but like when I was out there the first couple laps, to go flat through turn 1 again, just because the last time I was here, my last lap was hitting the wall 230 mile an hour. So, you know, it's hard to tell yourself to go flat through turn one after it hurts, you know. So, and then once I did it once, you know, I just could do it again and again and again. So I knew I was actually kind of freaked out a little bit. Dennis saw it, and I was a little freaked out. But I knew once I got my feet back under me, I was going to be, you know, the same old Sage again, back out there. Yeah.
Dennis, I've known you long enough to know that you really, really want to get back into the series full time. Do you think going to a common body style is going to significantly help the cost of the series? And is the series going in the right direction to help smaller teams and more teams come on board?
I think so. I think they've made some good decisions in some of the direction that they are taking on. There's been a little bit of cost savings passed on to us this year, so everything helps. Yeah, I would like to be full-time. I'd love to have Sage out full-time throughout the season if we could figure out how to do that. And it's all on my end. It's the financial thing right now. I just don't have the sponsor depth to be able to pull that off yet. But there are some ideas that we have that we're kicking around and working on, and potential partnerships and things like that exist that may be able to advance our cause a little bit that way. So cross fingers and hope for the best is what I'm doing. So, yeah.
Dennis, along that line, you're not doing the full season. So when you come in with a car for Sage, do you have a limit then as to how much running you can do here in terms of tires and the engine program?
We do, but everybody has the same limit. We get 33 sets of tires, and so that you sort of work backwards. Okay, we'll save 10 for race day. We know we're going to do X amount of qualification sims, so you count on how many that's going to be, and you kind of work your way back, and that's more or less your run plan. We're also limited by mileage with Chevy, and Honda has the same mileage limit. So really, everybody's on equal playing field as to what you can come out here and do. It's not wide open where we can just go run all day long, and we don't want to do that anyway. We want to be a little more calculated and try to get our car advanced one step at a time. So you want to go back and measure things. So that's why we all spend a lot of time in the garages to measure and make sure it's going in the direction we thought it was going to go.
Joey and then Mark.
Sage, how do you balance IMSA along with this? And in addition to that, you know, what are some of the lessons maybe racing and competing in that series that you've learned to carry over to this?
Yeah, well, I mean, balancing it's, you know, fairly simple because, you know, I only do one IndyCar race, so I have no conflict over there. So balancing's pretty easy, but as far as, you know, how the driving is and everything, two completely different beasts. I mean, the IndyCar, everything is very fast, and you know, you got to be so on top of your game. You can't, you know, you can't hit any walls, you can't hit any wheels, you know, the other guys, and you got to be on top of it. And in the sports car, there's a little bit more leeway with those kind of things. You can, you know, you can rub the mirrors on the walls, and you can bounce off some other cars here and there, and you know, usually it's no harm, no foul. The sports car racing is fun because, you know, there's a bunch of classes out there, so there's always something going on. But then the IndyCar, you just have to be so on top of everything. It's a big challenge in both. I remember I went out for like half of my first day, and I kept telling these guys, I said, guys, my head just feels like it's like moving around and everything. And basically, I just wasn't used to getting hit in the head with wind anymore, you know, because I had a windshield in front of me usually all this year, and I just forgot what that felt like, and I just thought that, you know, my helmet needed to be adjusted or something, but here it just was normal, and you just forget those little things. And, you know, going 180 miles an hour in a sports car is a lot different than going 230 something here. So, you know, those extra 50 mile an hour or so is huge.
Sage, your teammates with Scott Pruitt on the Lexus program. He obviously has some quite a few laps around here. Did you talk with Scott at all? Does he give you any advice about this place?
No, he hasn't. As far as like nothing on the oval or anything. But, you know, he knows, you know, he knows what he's doing. And, you know, he knows what he's doing. So, you know, you know, he texted me yesterday. He says, "Hey, so I saw you ran good yesterday. Good work." And I was like, "Yeah, car's really good." And he's like, "Yeah, looks it. Keep it up." So, you know, he's real supportive. You know, but no, he you know, I think it was just different times. You know, when he ran Indy and I ran Indy, you can't really even compare him, I think. So, but as far as with racing with him, you know, he teaches me so much on and off track. He's just a good guy to have in your corner and be able to go to.
And Dennis, you've been around this place long enough. You obviously can recognize the talent when you see it. What is it about this young man that you see that you like, that you brought him back this year, that you'd like to get him in a full-time ride?
Well, he said he was freaking out and before getting in the car, and I don't know about that because once he does get in the car, he's very calm and makes really good decisions. You know, he thinks it through out there. Excuse me. And I like his focus level, and he's just a really talented guy at setting cars up and learning how to execute a pass. So does a great job in the pit box, hitting his marks that helps the crew guys. And he's a pleasure to work with. He's a good guy to be around. So have a lot of respect for Sage and his talent level and what he can bring to a team like ours.
Dennis, how much would a good result here go towards getting you more closer to a full-time position or towards more races? And to that effect, Sage, what did you learn from last year that you can use to apply for this year and this running?
I'll start it. It would help a lot, would be the answer to that. It would help a great deal. But even saying that, I think we would wait till next year if we could pull something together. So because if you're going to be in the series, you may as well be full-time to take advantage of everything that is full-time, and you want to run for the points and all that too. So we would wait.
Yeah, I mean, wait, what was it? So I just learned, you know, you got to pick which battles you want to fight at the time. You know, I picked a battle that was too early on in the race, and it was too big of a risk that early on. Maybe, you know, you do something to that magnitude, I guess, later on, even if you need to do it. But you know, I learned, you know, just got to be calm, mature behind the wheel of the car, and make the right decisions. You know, you're not going to get anything by passing, you know, two guys going into one on lap 94, you know, whatever lap it was. But, you know, so I think it was just last year I was just so amped up and anxious from not driving. I was in fourth. I smelled blood in the water. I saw the lead of the Indianapolis 500, and I said, I'm going to get there as soon as I can, and tried to make it all happen in one lap, I guess. And, you know, I think this year we've learned from that. We're going to calm down. We're going to get to the end of the race, and if I get there to the end of the race, I'm going to be there. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Mitch, and then Joey.
If you two, because you guys have been together for so long over the past few years, compare and contrast how you guys have operated going back to 2014 to where you guys are right now. If both of you could, be great.
It's funny. I talk about it all the time about 2014, and it was my best finish. And I look back at it, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing out there, man. Like, I was just driving and just doing my thing. And it was pretty incredible that these guys, you know, had the confidence in me, you know, to do that. And we, you know, came away with a great result for first Indy, and probably could have been a lot better if a yellow didn't fall the way it did. You know, we had a top 5 car that day, maybe even top 3. We were moving. And then, you know, to come in and last year and do what we did, you know, I'll never forget it. You know, Dennis and all his guys after the race, I came back. I sat in my kind of cubbyhole section of the garage, sitting there crying just because I was so devastated because I knew I had a car that could win that day. And Dennis and his guys looked me in the eye and they said, "You're our guy, Sage. Like, you're going to win this race for me one day, and, you know, we want you back next year." And basically it was set in stone that day that I was going to come back. And it didn't take long after that to get the contracts flowing, to get this race on the books for this year. And to come back for a third year with the same exact crew as last, you know, you come in with that much more confidence because you know the guys, they know how to work with you. You know, they have confidence in me, I have confidence in them, and it's almost like I can walk in to the garage in the morning, and just by the way I greet them or something, they're gonna know, like if I'm on or if I'm off today, and it's become a family because we've been around each other so long, so many emotions and everything.
Joey.
Sage, we talked in Long Beach, and you alluded to the tattoo that you have on your wrist, the IMS logo. Talk a little bit about that and why you have that.
Yeah, so I got the wings and tire on my wrist, if anybody didn't see, but I just wanted to look at it every day and just never forget that this is the race I want to win, because this is my obsession, this race. I want to win this race so bad, and it was like I wanted to go to bed at night and that'd be the last thing I see before I sleep, and then wake up in the morning and that'd be the first thing. It's just reminding that, everything I do this day is is either gonna better me or worsen me, to win this race, and I wanted to make every day a positive, and that's why I got it, just to remind me, and I left some room so when I win it I can put the year and the number and everything.
And Sage, just for background, when did you get that tattoo?
I got it in March, like right around my birthday. I got kicked out of the house for 3 days from Dad for it, but it was well worth it.
Great story.
He
Steve?
forgave you, though, right?
He forgave me.
Dennis, obviously there's advantages and disadvantages to only running one race a year. What's the biggest advantage and what's the biggest disadvantage?
Well, I don't know. One thing, we didn't run the Grand Prix, so we could work on our body fit for a super speedway when some of the other teams that have limited cars are in a little bit more of a tough position when they have to convert them over. I don't know that there's any real advantages. People a lot of times think there are a lot of disadvantages, and I don't know what those would be really either. I feel like we can come out here and compete. I get asked that a lot, is do you think you compete with or can compete with some of these other teams that are full-time? And I do, because we had a good day in practice yesterday, and we're running the same package they are, and we're in there mixing it up with them. So really looking forward to getting back on track, and here pretty soon we'll do some pit stop practices, and should be a good week.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Any final questions for Sage Karam or Dennis Reinbold? Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks.